All right, this will be the People News, Part 8. All right, let's go.
Is order 6 months of unsupervised probation. And the only condition of the unsupervised probation is that, Mr. Anderson, you cannot commit any additional crimes. That's it. And the protection order, which is a no contact. And the protection order will remain in effect, and you cannot violate the protection order, which means, and I just want to make clear, no contact with Miss Howell. No contact with Miss Howell, direct or indirect, for 6 months.
I'm sorry, I have a daughter. How am I supposed to deal with that when
6 months is up if you have not violated any criminal laws, if you have not violated the protection order.
I have joint custody.
Then you're, hang on one second, I'll ask you if you have questions, okay? Then your probation, your unsupervised probation will be done, and this case will be finished, and that will be it, completely finished. Your probation will be deemed successfully completed. But you don't have to come back to court so long as you don't violate any new laws, don't go anywhere near Miss Howell. Okay, Mr. Anderson, what was your question? And there's no restitution, nothing else you have to do.
Yeah, I have joint custody.
Hold on, I'm so sorry. One more thing. I'm waiving all your costs and fees. You don't have to pay anything either. Okay. What was it? Sorry, Mr. Anderson?
Yes, I have a daughter with the alleged victim that the court doesn't have any jurisdiction over. She doesn't live in the state, nor is a resident of the state of Colorado. Again, how am I supposed to exercise my parenting time when...
You can exercise your parenting time. The protection order says you can have contact, even with Ms. Howell, actually, subject to the orders in 19 DR 2270. So what do your orders say in that case about your contact? And so perhaps that allows for contact with Ms. Howell? I don't know.
And it does, regarding my daughter.
Okay. And I misspoke because this has a carve out for the orders in 19 DR 2270. So you can have contact as long as that case allows for it, and your orders in that case allow for it. So that's a great question, and that's what your protection order says. I'm looking at it right now. But you can't violate the protection order by going outside of your orders in 19 DR 2270 and having contact with Ms. Howell that doesn't include contact that's expressly allowed in your domestic relations case.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That portion makes sense. Can I have a specified order from the court stating that the protection order that was violated was not against Mrs. Howell, that it was against my house and my property? That way I can turn that into the state of Kansas, because the state of Kansas is going off of fraudulent and false statements by Mrs. Howell, who stated that I violated a protection order against her because you amended it after the fact. And so... I need a specific order or something specifically from the court stating that I did not, in fact, violate a protection order against Mrs. Howell, that I violated a protection order against my house, and that you had amended that protection order after the fact. That way I can turn it into the state of Kansas and have and deal with that matter. I know you don't have jurisdiction there. However, the state of Kansas is going off of Mrs. Howell's, again, fraudulent and false statements stating on your order that I violated a protection order against her, which it wasn't. It was a protection order that you amended way after the fact, in which Miss Howell then turned over to the state of Kansas in order to frivolously gain that warrant that she had misspoken of in court when she gave her testimony or her statement to the court. So is that possible, if I could get something from the court?
Okay, hang on a second. I don't know anything about this Kansas case. Hang on. What is this all about?
My understanding of the matter is that Ms. Howell is private.
Okay, Ms. Howell, tell me what this is. I don't know what's happening in Kansas.
Yes, Your Honor. That mandatory protection order that was issued, Chris continuously violated it, and I had to file multiple police reports. And due to his language, and they decided to pick up a charge due to him violating violating that protection order.
This one in this case?
Correct. Yeah, the one that I'm named as the victim.
So after the fact, again, Your Honor.
No,
So they're prosecuting in Kansas?
correct. Yes. And he's trying to manipulate you into saying something to try to say that that's not valid.
No,
However, it's
I don't have anything before me to modify the protection order. The original protection order was modified in September of 2021.
Did you hear? He is trying to manipulate the judge. Okay.
It was September 20th of 2021. And that was modified because somehow, mistakenly, Ms. Howell wasn't added to the protection order. So that's the protection order that was in effect at the time of the trial. That is the protection order that the jury found that you violated, Mr. Anderson. And that is the protection order that is still in effect.
And, Your Honor, my understanding is actually it was a violation of protection order with regard to the house.
Well, that was the one issued by the DR judge, the protection. That's what he was found guilty of violating. Oh, I'm sorry.
Protection order.
Okay.
In the DR case.
Oh, so he wants a finding. So I think that the protection order that was violated was the civil protection order.
Yes.
I think what he wants the court to do is to say that at the time he violated the protection order in this case in Kansas, that Ms. Howell was not on it.
Yes. That is exactly what I'm asking the court to say because that's what was tried.
I would, okay.
You don't see that every day, right? So the other attorney actually helped his case out on this. Whoops.
At the time he was found to have violated the protection order here, so the jury trial, that the violation of the protection order was not with respect to Ms. Howell, it was respect to the civil protection order for the house.
Yes.
You know, now he's worried about Kansas because he's being prosecuted in Kansas for violating the protection order active in 21 CR 4840, this case. I don't have any control over Kansas.
No.
But what I do have the ability to say is that the violation of the protection order for which he is being convicted is with regard to a different protection order, which is the civil protection order, and that was that was entered in the DR case, and that is 19 DR 2270. So what I will put in the minute order, if this is helpful to you, Mr. Anderson.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I don't mean to interrupt. I apologize so much. Mr. Anderson, after that protection order, the mandatory protection order was issued, he violated it in the state of Kansas.
Well, you can deal with that in Kansas. What Mr. Anderson is asking is for me to clarify on the record, and I'm going to do that because I was confused about this as well. So the jury has found a violation of the civil protection order in 19 DR 2270, which was the subject of the charge. Hang on 1 second. Filed in this criminal case, it was count 4, violation of a protection order, as filed on September 7th of 2021. In our case here in El Paso County, there is no conviction of, or even an allegation of violation of the protection order with respect to Ms. Howell. The protection order entered in 21 CR 4840. So the only conviction, the only allegation of violation of a protection order in this case has to do with the protection order in the domestic relations case, not the protection order involving Ms. Howell in 21 CR 4840. I will clarify that for the record. And Mr. Anderson, does that alleviate your concern?
Absolutely, because now I can turn that into the state of Kansas because she has used your order in order to gain a frivolous protection order in the state of Kansas. So yes, that does help, and that does clarify exactly what happened so that I can prove that in another separate court. Thank you.
Okay, but Mr. Anderson, let me tell you, the protection order that I'm talking about as part of your sentence, 21 CR 4840, where Ms. Howell is the protected party, will stay in effect for 6 months.
And I don't have, I understand what you just stated on that. I just needed clarification in the minute order stating that I did not violate a protection order against Mrs. Howell, that it was against the house in the civil suit.
There is no allegation, and I'll make this really clear in my minute order, there is no allegation that you violated the protection order in this case, 21 CR 4840. The allegation and the conviction is with regard to the DR case and the house.
Thank you.
Okay. So, again, the critical thing to understand here, Mr. Anderson, and I'm going to keep on driving it home because you don't have counsel to remind you or talk to you about this, is that you cannot have contact with Ms. Howell for 6 months. The protection order still is in effect, except if you are allowed to have contact under your 19 DR 2270 domestic relations orders. Does that make sense to you?
I understand that.
Okay. You also cannot. You are on unsupervised probation. You cannot break any laws for the next 6 months, or your probation will be revoked. Do you understand that?
I get that, yes.
Okay. And then finally, I need you to keep your address up to date with my court, with the court, if you move.
Okay.
The reason that that's important is at the end of 6 months, we may need to find you just to confirm that everything's okay. And if I can't find you, it's your job to keep your address up to date. And if I can't find you, unfortunately, the only way to find you is to issue a warrant, and I don't want to do that.
Okay, can I ask what the court has on file for my, for two things, an email address and also the address?
Sure. So which is Willow Lane address?
That's the house that's in question. I don't have a physical address. I can give a P.O. box.
Okay, what's your mailing address?
It's...
Sit and think about this, y'all. They got his address from a house he's not allowed to be at. After repeatedly over and over and over telling them that he's not allowed to supposed to be over there. Alright, we're not going to go any further on this. This is in all actuality, it's still a win for him. And take it as you wish, y'all. Alright, Diesel with the People News. Bye, y'all.